Hi, this is Peter, Wahing Realty. Thank you for watching. In this episode, we're going to talk about preliminary title reports and what it is and what are some of the red flags regarding to it. 2 weeks ago, a buyer asked me to look at the preliminary title report for him and see if there's any red flags. And it dawns on me that I've never done a video regarding to preliminary title reports. So here it is. Preliminary title report is a report that title company do research on the property, make sure the seller is a seller, make sure all the loans are paid off, make sure the property taxes are paid off, make sure the seller is a seller, make sure if there's any easement, any restrictions with the condos and townhouses, they are all listed in the preliminary title report. And if everything is okay, they can issue you title insurance. So here are some of the red flags. I can talk about probably the taxes and trustees together. Nowadays, not that big of a deal even if they are delinquent, as long as what they owe is less than what the buyer purchased the property for, and then they can pay all the fines, interest, and everything else. And the seller still walk away with money. But in 2008, 2009, you need to make sure the seller has enough money to pay for the differences. And for taxes, in state of California, for senior citizen, there's a program, I forgot what's the name of it, that they basically let the seller live in the house, let the property tax accrued, which is okay, not a problem, unless the buyer wants to close in 5 days, and you know how government works. It takes 30 days or 60 days for them to give you the amount, and it may delay escrow. Not that big of a deal, but if the buyers want to move in really quickly, they may not be able to. CC&R are in all the condos and townhouses. In some cases like this one, they have CC&R for single family as well. Basically are rules from the community, which talks about what are some of the regulations, what can you do, what can't you do. If you want to raise chicken, right, and you are living in a community that doesn't allow pets, then that may be a problem. So you may want to take a look at the CC&R before you purchase the property. Chicken is probably not the most irrelevant cases, but if you want to have a pet dog, and if you want big dogs and the CC now say you can only do 15 pounds or lower, you may not be able to keep your dog. Easements is when you and your neighbors or talks about we can share driveways and stuff like that. Basically, you give access to another party to a piece of your piece of your land, and if you give access to PG&E, that's kind of a normal thing in the preliminary title report. Shared driveway is also another one. But if you have an easement on there and you want to build a pool on the exact locations, probably can't. And if you try to buy a house which has that type of easement and you want to put a pool in there, that house probably not a good fit for you. And you want to watch out for it in the preliminary title reports, and it's spelled out fairly detailed. Encroachments is when your neighbor built like a garage, which take up maybe 100 square feet of your lot space, and you fight for it in courts, and then they recorded it saying, oh, that part of the land is not yours anymore, it's theirs. It doesn't happen quite that often. I've seen it probably once in my 15 years experience, but some lender would not lend to it, so you may want to watch out for that. Notice of violation is always a problem. I remember maybe 7-8 years ago, 9 years ago, in Union City, a seller asked me to sell a property for her, and her property has like an in-law unit in the back, and it was legal permit, no permit, that's okay. But you know, when we ordered the preliminary title report, the city found out about it and asked her to remove it before the sales, and she didn't tell me about it, and then you know it turned really ugly really quickly. So if there's a notice of violations, chances are you need to correct it before the house can be sold. Court orders. If you owe some tax liens or stuff like that, you may get court orders to pay it off before you can sell. Again, with the government, it may take a month or two for you to get the right amounts, and it may delay escrows. Bankruptcies. It happened last year with one of mine. It's one of the hardest escrow I've ever closed. Basically, you're not talking only to the seller, you're talking to the lawyer, you're talking to the courts. You know, everybody has to agree on the price and the terms, and then it delay, and buyers threaten to sue, and then the seller threatened not to sell. Yeah, it was a big mess, but eventually we got it closed. But it's going to be, you know, if you're a buyer of it, you know, make sure that, you know, you don't, if you set up a date, say 30-day close, don't expect to move in on the 30th day, because like I said earlier, you know, the government, the judge, everything takes time, and you may not close on time. Notice of pending actions or pending litigations or list pending is there's pending litigation in the property. A lot of condos and townhouses are right around the 10 years after it's built, it started to sue the developer. Leaky pipes, rotted pipes, you know, the roof is leaking, that type of things. And actually that's normal. So I think that a developer has around 10 years for the actual 10-year guarantee, and the right around the 10th year, when all these things started to happen, they started to sue. So a lot of lenders won't lend to these type of property, but if you're running into a situation like this, let me know. I have some lenders that will. Statement of information: if your name is Peter, David, Smith, and your last name is common too, chances are there are another person with your name out there doing crazy stuff. If they are in the most wanted list, or if they owe a lot of bad taxes and stuff like that, it will take time for you to clear your name, so to speak. So it may delay escrow as well. If you are in the most wanted list, then you probably may not be able to sell. So here are some red flags with the property, the property preliminary title reports. My title company actually is nice enough to give me one that has some red flags in them, because this one, the owner died, and the sons and daughters are selling the property, and they need to have the final decree. They need to make sure that the estate doesn't owe any taxes, stuff like that. So when you see a preliminary title report and you want to see if there's any red flags, usually the red flag will show like, you know, delinquent, but even if you don't look at it, look toward the end, there will be a list of items that need to be clear before the title insurance can be bought. So I just want to give you an example so you can see, take a screenshot, so you can know what to look out for when you are buying property. Dun.